Ladies and gentlemen, there is a voice within you that knows no fear, no lack, and no limitation, but you will never hear it while the noise in your mind is louder than the wisdom of your soul. Your mind is a servant, not a master. This statement holds a profound spiritual truth that many overlook. The mind was designed to follow higher instruction, to be shaped by the soul's wisdom, not to dictate the course of our lives. Yet most people live the other way around. They let their minds run wild, untamed, filled with fear, doubts, assumptions, and limiting beliefs. They take every thought seriously, never questioning whether that thought came from truth or trauma, from love or lack. As a result, the mind becomes a cruel master, one that never lets them rest, never lets them feel worthy, and always keeps them chasing, worrying, or comparing. The truth is that the mind is like a tool, a powerful one, but like all tools, it must be handled with care and direction. Just as a knife can prepare a meal or cause injury, the mind can build a beautiful life or trap you in a prison of fear. When the mind is put in its proper place, when it is reminded that it works for you, not the other way around, you begin to live in peace. You begin to see that not every thought is worth entertaining, not every voice inside you is your truth. Some thoughts are echoes from your past. Some are programs from the world, from media, from wounded people. And none of those should be allowed to write the script of your future. You have a deeper self within you, the part of you that is calm, wise, and connected to divine intelligence. That self doesn't speak in panic or pressure. It speaks in knowing, it speaks in peace, but it is often drowned out by the overactive mind. That's why spiritual mastery begins with discipline of thought. It means observing your mind like a watchful gatekeeper. It means not reacting to every fear it throws at you. It means saying, I hear you, but you are not in charge. It means training your mind to serve your highest truth, not your temporary emotions. A servant does not lead the house. A servant waits for direction. The same is true of your mind. It should wait for spiritual instruction, for inspiration, for faith to guide its focus. If you let the mind lead without supervision, it will lead you straight into anxiety, confusion, and self-doubt. But when you step into your role as the spiritual authority of your life, the mind becomes a brilliant helper, organizing your ideas, planning your actions, helping you make wise choices, all under the leadership of peace. You were never meant to be ruled by thoughts. You were meant to rule them with grace, with faith, and with inner authority. The more you practice this, the quieter the mental noise becomes, and the more powerful you feel in your own life. Because the moment you take back the leadership from your mind is the moment your true transformation begins. Mental noise blocks divine guidance because the voice of the divine is not loud or forceful. It is gentle, quiet, and easily drowned out by the chaos of overthinking. The spiritual realm does not compete with your anxiety, your endless inner debates, or the loud voices of fear and doubt. Instead, it waits patiently in silence, offering clarity to those who are willing to still their minds and listen. Most people believe they cannot hear divine wisdom, but in truth, they simply cannot hear over the noise. That noise takes the form of constant worry, mental rehearsals of worst-case scenarios, opinions from others, self-judgment, and a compulsive need to fix or control everything. The mind, left unchecked, becomes like a radio stuck between stations. Static, unclear, and restless. In that state, intuition cannot speak. Divine insight cannot land. You miss the signs, you ignore the nudges, and you move in directions that only create more resistance. Mental noise is not just a nuisance. It is a barrier between you and the guidance that could change everything. The guidance is there, always present, always whispering truth and direction, but it cannot be heard unless you quiet the mind enough to receive it. Spiritual instruction does not arrive in panic. It arrives in peace. It does not force its way into your life. It flows when there is space. But most people fill every space with noise. Noise from their phones, their past, their future fears, their self-criticism. Even when they pray, they do all the talking and never sit long enough to listen. True guidance requires stillness, not performance. It asks for surrender, not struggle. It requires that you trust the silence, even when your mind screams for answers. Mental noise also makes you reactive rather than responsive. You make choices based on emotion rather than alignment. You say yes when you mean no. You rush into things because your mind tells you time is running out. But divine timing is never frantic. It moves with purpose, not panic. When the noise is silenced, even for a moment, what comes through is clear, calm, and always right. It feels like relief. It feels like truth. It brings peace even before the result shows up. To receive guidance, you must become a quiet place. You must create inner stillness like a calm lake, not a stormy ocean. That stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means clearing space so the higher wisdom can enter. When you release the need to overthink, overanalyze, and overcontrol, you make room for divine solutions that your noisy mind could never have imagined. You begin to see signs, feel nudges, and follow paths that make no logical sense but lead to everything you've been asking for. The quieter your mind becomes, the louder the voice of truth grows. You don't need to force answers to appear. You just need to clear the interference. Because the divine never stopped speaking, it's just that the noise was too loud to hear. Silence is not weakness, it is spiritual power, because it takes far more strength to remain centered, still, and grounded than it does to react, argue, or chase. In a world where noise is constant and distraction is glorified, choosing silence is a bold and powerful act. It is not the silence of defeat, but the silence of control, clarity, and inner mastery. When everything around you is pulling for your attention, your reaction, your validation, silence becomes your shield. It allows you to observe without being pulled into the drama. It gives you the power to pause, to reflect, and to respond from a place of truth rather than impulse. Many misunderstand silence. They associate it with passivity or fear, thinking that if they do not speak up or act immediately, they will lose control. But in reality, silence is where true control is born. It is in the space between thoughts, between emotions, between situations that your spirit becomes stronger. You begin to hear yourself. You begin to hear divine guidance. You begin to see clearly what is yours to carry and what is not. And in that stillness, you become unshakable. The strongest people are not those who shout the loudest. They are the ones who can remain composed when the world demands a reaction. They are the ones who can walk away without needing the last word, who can sit in uncertainty without crumbling, and who can trust the timing of their life without forcing outcomes. Silence also connects you to your higher self. When you stop speaking, stop reacting, stop overthinking, you open the channel to divine energy. You make space for truth to rise, for intuition to lead, for wisdom to emerge. This is not weakness, this is alignment. And from alignment comes power, the kind of power that cannot be taken, manipulated, or shaken. It is the quiet confidence that knows everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even if the surface looks chaotic. It is the knowing that your value does not depend on how much noise you make, but how deeply rooted you are in who you are. In silence, you regain energy. You stop bleeding your power into pointless arguments, into trying to prove yourself, into battling battles that were never yours. You stop living in reaction and start living in intention. You become more deliberate with your words, your energy, and your choices. That is spiritual power, the ability to choose presence over panic, peace over pride, purpose over performance. Silence is not empty. It is full of insight, strength, and answers. When you embrace it, you begin to see that many of the things you were chasing or fighting were only distractions. The real power was in you all along, waiting for you to be still enough to recognize it. The world may not understand it, but the soul does, and once you discover the power of silence, you will never waste your energy on noise again. Don't chase results align with truth, because chasing is rooted in fear, while alignment is rooted in faith. When you chase something, you are declaring to the universe that it is separate from you, far away, and must be caught before it slips out of reach. This mindset is born from lack. It believes you must hustle, prove, beg, or compete to receive what should already be yours by divine right. Chasing disconnects you from your power. It puts you in a constant state of striving, where nothing is ever enough, and fulfillment is always somewhere in the future. But alignment is different. Alignment is the awareness that what you seek is already seeking you. It is the understanding that your desires were not placed in your heart to tease you. They are instructions from the divine, guiding you toward who you truly are. When you align with truth, the truth of who you are, the truth of your worth, the truth of divine timing, you stop running in circles. You start moving in harmony with life. You no longer act out of desperation, but out of inspiration. Your actions are no longer fear-driven attempts to force outcomes. Instead, they are guided, calm, and intentional. This does not mean you become passive. It means your energy becomes focused and powerful because it is no longer scattered by anxiety or impatience. The results you are chasing begin to appear without struggle, not because you gave up, but because you stepped into the vibration that attracts them. Truth is always stable. It does not move with emotions or circumstances. When you align with it, you become stable too. You stop doubting yourself every time something takes longer than expected. You stop panicking when things don't go your way. You trust the process, knowing that what is meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you is never truly for you. This kind of peace can never be found in the chase. It is only found in surrendering to what is real, what is eternal, and what resonates deeply with your soul. The chase wears you out. It convinces you that worth must be earned, that rest is laziness, and that constant movement equals progress. But the truth is, progress is born from alignment. A tree doesn't chase the sun, it simply grows toward it. The same applies to you. You don't need to fight your way into your destiny. You need to become the version of yourself that your destiny responds to. That happens through honesty, integrity, and trust, not through force. You shift from striving to receiving, from pushing to allowing, from doubt to knowing. The moment you stop chasing and start aligning, you reclaim your energy. You step out of the illusion of scarcity and into the reality of abundance. And in that state, you become magnetic to everything you once thought you had to chase. Because truth doesn't run, it waits for you to return to it. Ask ChatGPT, you said, explain. Declare peace with authority, not desperation, into 500 words without any subheading and ending sentence, ChatGPT said. Declare peace with authority, not desperation, because true spiritual power does not beg for comment, claims it. When you speak from a place of inner authority, you are not pleading for life to become easier. You are standing in your divine right to live in alignment, clarity, and stillness. Desperation comes from fear. It believes peace is something outside of you, something that can only come when circumstances improve, people change, or problems vanish. But peace is not a reward for a perfect life. It is a choice, a state of being you can activate regardless of what surrounds you. When you declare peace with desperation, your words lose power. You say things like, "I just want peace," or "I hope things get better soon." But underneath those words is a trembling energy, a belief that you are powerless and at the mercy of chaos. The universe responds not to what you say, but to the energy behind your words. When your declaration is wrapped in fear, it only attracts more situations that match that energy. But when your voice is steady, calm, and rooted in truth, your words become commands. You are not asking for peace, you are aligning with it. You are calling it forward like a ruler calls order into a room. This is not about pretending to be strong when you feel weak. It is about remembering that your spirit holds more power than any outer storm. When you tap into that, your words begin to carry weight. You can look at the noise, the stress, the pressure, and say, "Peace, be still," and not as a wish, but as a decree. That kind of spiritual authority silences fear, not because you ran from it, but because you faced it and chose differently. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the refusal to let those problems control your energy, and that refusal must come from a deep place of knowing. To declare peace with authority, you must first believe that you are worthy of it. You must believe that peace is your natural state, not a luxury you earn after everything is fixed. Then speak it, not loudly, not dramatically, but clearly and with certainty. Say, "I choose peace now." Say, "I release this mental noise." Say, "My inner world is still, even if the outer world is not." And when you speak these words, don't speak them like a request. Speak them like a truth that cannot be shaken. Peace does not arrive when the chaos ends. It arrives the moment you decide that you are no longer available for emotional war, and that decision cannot be made in panic. It must be made in power. In that space, desperation fades. You stop chasing calm and you start becoming it. Your voice becomes aligned with divine order. Your energy becomes the answer to the very storm you thought you had to escape. Because true peace is not found, it is declared, and only those who remember their inner authority have the courage to claim it without apology. Quiet mind is a magnet for miracles because it creates space for the divine to move. In stillness, the noise of fear, doubt, and confusion fades, allowing higher wisdom to emerge. When the mind is constantly racing, it becomes clouded with limiting beliefs, false assumptions, and restless energy that repel the very things we desire. But when you quiet the inner chatter, you shift your vibration to one of receptivity and trust. In that space, you no longer try to control every outcome. Instead, you open yourself to unexpected blessings and divine timing. Miracles do not arrive through mental tension. They arrive through spiritual surrender. Most people live with a mind full of clutter. They overthink, overanalyze, and replay old stories on repeat. They worry about the future while dragging the weight of the past. In this mental fog, they miss signs, ignore intuition, and make choices based on fear rather than faith. A miracle can be right in front of them, but they are too distracted to notice. Quieting the mind isn't about escaping life, it's about becoming fully present to it. When your mind is still, you become aware of subtle guidance, inner nudges, and divine insights that are always trying to reach you. You begin to feel aligned, supported, and clear. In that clarity, doors open that logic could never unlock. A quiet mind is not an empty one. It is a focused one. It is a mind that knows what to release and what to hold. It is free from the constant need to react, prove, or control. In that freedom, miracles find their way with ease. You begin to attract opportunities, ideas, and people that resonate with your calm frequency. Peace becomes your new baseline, and in that peace, everything accelerates. This is not about doing more, it's about being in a state where more can come to you without resistance. Your quiet mind becomes the environment where manifestation takes root. Faith needs stillness to grow. When the mind is silent, your spirit speaks louder. You remember that you are not here to beg for blessings. You are here to receive them with grace. A miracle is not just a sudden breakthrough, it is also the quiet unfolding of things aligning perfectly behind the scenes. But that unfolding cannot happen when your energy is chaotic and your thoughts are tangled. The quieter you become inside, the more you begin to sense divine orchestration in every moment. You stop rushing, you stop pushing, you let go of timelines and start trusting divine order. This trust, born from silence, shifts your entire experience. Your vibration changes, your presence changes, you become magnetic, not through force but through flow. The right things begin to come to you not because you chase them, but because your quiet mind signaled to the universe that you are ready. Ready to receive, ready to trust, and ready to allow the miraculous to enter without interference. The mind no longer blocks the blessing, it welcomes it, and in that welcoming space, miracles become a natural part of life. Ask ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT.